Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. This show is brought to you by an organization called Million Kids. That is millionkids.org, not .com. That's a rock band. Millionkids.org is an interesting story. It's a local story right here in the Inland Empire. It started about 2008 for me. And Million Kids is an organization. Their logo, their motto is keep kids safe from predators. And it's a fascinating kind of journey. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that journey today. I started with this. I was in retirement. I had been in international marketing. I had traveled all over the world. I had over 3.5 million frequent flyer miles. And I had reached that age and I developed some, vertigo problems. So I retired, and I did that for quite a while. I did a lot of glass art and travel and all the things that people dream of doing in retirement. But then one day I started to go to a church. And that church, I don't go to that church anymore for a lot of other reasons, but we won't go there on that. But that church had a mission in Cambodia. And I guess I'm a different animal. Most people, just send money to Cambodia and call it a mission. But I wanted to go to Cambodia. In all the years I had traveled all over the world, I had not been to Cambodia. And I went. I sold my artwork. I was fortunate enough to be in a gallery out in Palm Springs and made a little money. It's real hard to make money selling art. That's why I don't sell it today. I still do it. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a glass artist, fused glass and slumping glass and even glassing enamel on copper, and I love it. And it's a great reprieve for me in the work that I do. And my new husband, he's not so new, it's 5 years now, but he, of all people, who would have believed that you could meet a person in this case, at a country club, Victoria, and he never knew he could do glass either until we got married, and then he set up a shop for me, and I started doing glass art. But back to my story, I would sell the glass work that I did, and I would go to Cambodia. And it was really an eye-opening situation. I went several times. I was working with an organization called Rafa House. Rafa is still a good friend of mine. That's RAPHA, and they do work out of Cambodia and Thailand. And I was on their board for 10 years and helped them raise funding and like that. But I went to Cambodia and I saw how different trafficking is in Cambodia than it is in the U.S. I even went into a Cambodian prison. And it was an amazing experience. I never considered myself naive because I had traveled around the world. But it isn't until you do something like a Cambodian prison. In that particular prison, men and women were housed together. And it was an interesting thing because there was a young kid. I went in that prison and I'm trying to talk to a woman who had obviously been greatly abused in her life. And she was in prison for selling her children. And in this case, I looked down and saw a little 2-year-old girl that had been born in prison to her, obviously as a result of some activity in the prison. And we worked together, the team, Rafa and myself, and raised the funding and did what we could. And we did it legally. A lot of people go into foreign countries thinking they can just take kids out of trafficking. You need to do it legally, otherwise you are kidnapping them. And we did it legally, and we made it so that this young lady could grow up. And in this case, she grew up in a safe house. And that has now been, I was thinking about her this week, she was either 2 or 3 at the time, and that's been 14 years, so she's nearing adulthood. And she fortunately has been raised in a very wonderful environment, caring and loving, and like that. But what has happened on this is that it changed my perspective. And people say, how did you get into this? It's always interesting. I see some people looking at me like, were you in prostitution and you got out? No, I wasn't. Okay. It is where the Lord put me, as it turns out. And in 2010, I went to a meeting at Boardwell Park, a very small meeting. There was conducted by the Riverside County Sheriff Department, and they were forming one of the first human trafficking task forces in America. And that was done by a person by the name of Aaron Wolf. I believe he's now Sergeant Aaron Wolf, if I have that right. He's out of Moreno Valley. And I met Aaron, and he was just really a inspirational figure for me. And he asked me, will you be our training and outreach coordinator as we form this new task force? And I said I would. And then he said, but I don't have any money. So I need you to do this like for free. Raise all your own money and pay all your own way. And 15 years later, we're still doing that. Maybe not as well as we once did, obviously. But it was quite the journey because in 2010, nobody knew what human trafficking was. In fact, in my opinion, we started out in Coachella because we all thought, well, it's those people, not our kids, it's those people. And what happened is after a couple of years of investigating out in Coachella and investigating things like nail shops and massage parlors and like that, we had a case here in Riverside where a beautiful young 15-year-old girl was recruited in a high school by a Crips gang member. And they had come in from Compton and they had placed a girl in a particular school. This is in 2012. And they recruited that innocent young lady. And for 9 months, none of us knew what was going on because we were too new at it at the time. But for 9 months, that young lady was sold into trafficking. Later on, she was rescued and her family put their arms around her and helped her get back to life. And today she lives a very productive, wonderful life and close to her family. And it was one of those horrific situations that happened to her. But I met that family that night, the mother and the grandmother, and I apologized that I had talked about her case in front of them. I had no idea they were in the audience. They came forward and said, I want you to know the girl in your story is our daughter. And I said, I hope I had not offended you. I would never want to hurt anybody in this business. And they said, no, I want you to be her eyes and ears and mouthpiece. I never want her to have to talk about it. But we also never again should a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid be seduced by another girl or by a gang member or by a boyfriend or by an older boyfriend and be forced into the life of trafficking. People say, how does someone get caught up in the life of trafficking? And who are these people? Well, I've spent the last 14 years of my life telling that story. I'm going to talk about it in the next section. And it has been an interesting journey. You know, I share all this with you because in 2016, I met the director of AM 590. And I told him at the time, his name was Brad at the time. And I told him, I said, I think I want to be on the radio. And he said, what makes you think you can do that? And I still wonder that question. Okay. I said, I don't know, but I feel like God's telling me to do that. Is there a school I should go to, or how do I learn to be on the radio? And he said, well, we've got the Rams game going, and so we don't have any open spots. But he said to me, I'll tell you what, contact me when the Rams game is over. So when the Rams game is over, I contacted Brad, and he said, well, okay, send me a sample of your podcast. I'd had a podcast for 5 years on Voice America, and had developed quite a following. And he said, send me one of your podcasts. And once I did, he took a chance on me. And that is how this show started way back in 2016. And it's been one hell of a ride. I think I'm allowed to say that online. Well, folks, it's break time. We're coming up against that time. So stay with us. We're going to be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the four most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I'm the host of your show and the president of an organization that I really hope you will follow, and that is called millionkids.org. We have all kinds of resources on that page, and just go on and sign up. And, you will get our newsletter once a week. Dina Murray, who is an amazing lady that works with Million Kids. I'm not the only person in Million Kids. There are several of us, and many of them are way more talented than I am. And we have some of the best resources in America for, one, keeping your kid out of sex and labor trafficking, and number two, keeping your kid from sending that nude pic online. That is really an emphasis of what we talk about. So in 2016, I met Brad and I started this radio show. It started with a half hour. I was scared to death, and Dan was our producer, and I'm going, please, let me re-record that. And he's going, nope, that's it. We'll try again next week. And every week I go, please, re-record. And he goes, nope, let's try it again next week. So we've been doing this now for 8 years. And I have met so many of you that listen to this show. And some of you write to me. One day I was at the dry cleaner, and I asked for my dry cleaning, and this guy says, are you the lady on the radio? Well, it's because I have a weird voice. I always sound like I'm about to go out of business or something, but it is what it is, And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, you know what? You helped save my daughter. And I said, well, I didn't save your daughter. God saves daughters. I only talk about what you need to know so that you can save your daughter. And I've seen that so many times over the last 8 years, where so many of you take this information and take it out and help your kids and your grandkids so that they don't get crazy online. Well, over the years, this thing has changed so much, and we've been doing it a very long time, and we've met a lot of amazing people. But one of the reasons I do it is I believe with all my heart that exploitation does not have to happen. And I want to share that with you. One of the things I will share with you is that we're coming to the end of the show in a couple of weeks. We've kind of run out of a sponsor, and there's so many other things we're trying to do at this time. And it does break my heart because this show has been very effective. But I want to use this opportunity to impart on you what I think is important. One of the things, having talked with so many people that have been victims of sex trafficking or sextortion, is I believe with all my heart that these things don't have to happen. It is not destiny. It was not something that couldn't be avoided. But so many people don't understand how someone gets involved in it. So I'm going to talk over this section and the next section of how people get caught up in sextortion and sex trafficking. Let's take sex trafficking first. I have so many people who come up to me, usually males, and they'll say, well, if a woman wants to sell her body, can't she do that? Well, absolutely she can. If she's an adult, that does not make her a victim of trafficking. But what happens is so many people, when they're younger, they don't have a strong foundation. And I had one of those situations growing up, so I understand. I never got caught up in trafficking, but it's only by the grace of God. And I look at so many people and I think, how did I not get caught up in it? And how do some people get caught up in it? Well, the first thing is, especially foster, homeless, runaway, and pregnant kids. I run through that like that's just nothing. But it is so important to understand foster kids, homeless, runaway, and pregnant kids. A pregnant girl is extremely vulnerable for someone to come along and take care of her. And that's exactly how it starts. Foster kids have a hole in their heart. We're just this week ran the foster kid bedding program. By the way, it is not too late for you to participate in that. For $75 donation, we will buy a comforter, sheets, a pillow, and some sort of great toy. Maybe it's Spider-Man. Maybe it is. I have them out here. I'm getting ready to deliver a whole bunch more of them, but I can't even think. Hello Kitty, a whole bunch of them that are out there. And we get a whole set and we package them up as a gift because the first night in foster care is the scariest night of your life. And I want them to have something warm and cozy and a place to sleep that's really fun that makes them feel special, because foster kids don't feel special. And pimps and pedophiles understand that to the nth degree. And they will come along with these foster kids and say, hey, baby, you're cute. You're wonderful. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be your daddy. I'll buy you a house. I'm going to marry you. You can have my baby. Everything every young person wanted to hear. And that's exactly how it happens. Sometimes it's a young person that decides to do webcam sex because they think they're hot and they want to be an influencer and they want to make a lot of money. Sometimes it's a young kid who thinks they want to be an amateur porn star. That's a lot more common than you think. Not about 2 years ago, Pornhub had to delete 9 million underage porn movies that had been created by teenagers that wanted to be a porn star. Sometimes they just want to experiment and see if they can be sexy enough somebody to pay them. Sometimes they're recruited on a dating site and they don't even know they're talking to a pimp or a predator. Sometimes they trust another girl. 60% of girls in sex trafficking are recruited by another girl, and we need to understand that. And a lot of times, sometimes they are just caught up and forced into it by a gang member, which is what happened to our person back in 2012. One of the things I know is that if we can gather enough money and get enough words out there, I never met a kid who wanted to be violated, but we need to bulletproof our kids. We need to put our arms around our kids, and we need to educate them about the grooming process and what it looks like. And then we need to give them alternatives. This is the reason why we sell the challenge coins. By the way, they're only $20 if you don't get them in a box. If you get them in a box, they're $25. And you can get them at millionkids.org. They say, I believe in you on one side, and you stand tall, you are loved on the other. And they are fabulous gifts to give to your kids and your grandkids, but they are so important to give to foster kids. If you have foster kids in your church, in your community, work with the foster parent to support them. Let them know that they have skills and they have abilities to excel. I'll never forget meeting a young man once at a foster group home. And I talked to the kids about how to stay out of sex trafficking. And he was an incredible young man. He was 16 years old. And he said to me afterwards, we talked about being addicted to video gaming because they recruit these kids through video game chat rooms. And I talked to him about that. And he said, when I was in my home back in Orange County, I had video games and I was really addicted to it. And I said, how did you get out here in this group home? And he said, well, there's no place. Nobody will take me. And this kid, is a brilliant kid. And I said, you are so smart. Why are you here? And he said, I know, I want to be a a meteorologist. He's like 16 and he knows where he's headed. And that is one of the keys to keeping your kids and grandkids out of trafficking. Know who you are, what you stand for, and decide that you are not going to be distracted by all the crap that comes along in life. You're going to be somebody. And so I went out after I talked to that young man, and I bought him a book on hurricanes and brought it back. And I hope it helped him. I gave him a I Believe in You coin, and I hoped it helped him. And I hope he got back to stability someday, because not everyone in foster care is really going to end up in a bad place. There are some amazing, aspiring, incredible foster kids that need our support. Maybe you're not in a position to adopt one, but that doesn't mean that we can't do betting programs, to give them challenge coins, to meet with them, to meet with them once a week and let them know that they have abilities and that somebody believes in them. If we can get them young enough and help them understand that they have value and worth, and that they can go somewhere and be something, they are a lot less likely to send a nude nude pic online, and they're a lot less likely to listen to some guy on a dating site or somewhere that's going to take care of them and then put them out into sex trafficking, abuse them all day long, and then take their money. And that is the way that it currently ends. It does not have to be this way. I'm convinced of it. If we understand how it works and we're willing to commit the money to make it happen. It's break time, folks. This is Opal Singleton. We'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the darknet will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and I am the host of your show and president of Million Kids. And we're talking about why some kids are more easily seduced into a life of either sex trafficking or a life of crime or a gang life. How does that happen? And it is because they prey on kids who are vulnerable. By the way, you don't have to be a foster kid to be vulnerable. I met many kids in two-parent households, and the parents come to me and say, I'm scared for this kid. They make bad choices, and they literally do things that will get them in trouble. And this is really, really scary. By the way, it's especially true of autistic kids. Do not give your autistic kids technology until you know they're old enough to understand what adult sex is all about. I have so many kids that are vulnerable because they are in that autistic spectrum, and they're online, and they don't understand why somebody wants a nude photo and where they're going to go, but they do know how to make them themselves and send them. They can handle the technology. They don't understand why somebody wants that photo. I want to talk a minute about sextortion, because in addition to keeping kids out of being forced prostitution, we spend a lot of time in trying to keep our kids from sending nude pics. And several people donated this last year. We created a whole lot of videos. They're 1 and 2 minute videos. They're on TikTok. They're on the videos that kids are on, because kids don't understand why somebody wants their nude photo and where those photos go when you hit send. And that is a lot of our ministry and mission, is to help kids understand that. So most of the people that follow this show know that I wrote a book called Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. And that book is available on Amazon and also at Million Kids. But it also goes along with a movie that we're the co-producer of called Sextortion, The Hidden Pandemic. And I hope that tonight, if you're a parent or a grandparent, that you will write that down and go home and download it. It's on Apple TV, iTunes, and Amazon. It's on Amazon. And I'm the executive producer of that. And it was a gift from God that gave that to us, a gift from all of you folks who donated to make it happen. And we had the premiere right here at the Victoria Country Club, and it has gone across the nation. It is on Amazon, and it's called Sextortion, The Hidden Pandemic. Here is what has happened so that you understand why this is so important. Now, the victims of this are so totally different than victims of sex trafficking. And that's why I wanted this radio show, is to be able to educate you all about that. You see, the victims in trafficking are most often those kids that are really fighting for their life in their home life. Maybe they're a victim of divorce. Maybe they have no family. Maybe their family's in prison. Maybe their mother's a meth addict. Maybe they're just extremely poor. Maybe they're raised in a gang territory. Those are the kids that end up in sex trafficking, trying to find a way to have someone love them, accept them, and make some money, and maybe get out of their circumstances, which if they choose that path, they go deeper and deeper in. But this thing about sending a nude photo is such a completely different kind of crime. Now, when I first started writing the book Sextortion, Societal Shift, the thing I want so many of you, and I've said this on the radio show so many times, I want you to realize that you live at the most important time in all of history, and you are called to be a leader at, I believe, the most historic time in all of history, because this generation of young people will be the first generation that is literally able to connect to 5 billion people around the world using high-speed 5G internet. And very few people understand what that's about. Okay, but the difference is we have mass audience live streaming. If you're an old codger, okay, you're on Facebook and you have 45 close friends, and you go on there and you play free cell or your little game somehow, and you limit it to, getting the latest recipe. But what happens with kids is they're on TikTok. TikTok has 11 billion users, okay? Fortnite, 5 years ago, had a concert that had 11 million simultaneous users. So when you do a hashtag on Instagram, it doesn't go to your 45 famous users. It goes out to millions of people. And so predators go online on hashtag, itty bitty bikini, and hashtag hot cam girl, and hashtag this and hashtag that. And your kids are making these hot kinds of posts, and they hook up. The same kind of thing on TikTok. If your 11-year-old daughter is doing a dance routine that is somewhat sexual, and it is not unusual, it is the norm, because they want to be influencers and they have 1 million followers, all a pedophile has to do on an app like TikTok is sign up and wait. And they go on those particular sites that have the dancing, and they go, hey, baby, you're hot. Meet me on Instagram and send me more photos. I'm going to make you famous. The other thing that happens is our boys are playing in video games. Video games have chat rooms. By the way, they also have live streaming that comes right into your living room and sees your little 12-year-old sister. But they have chat rooms in there. And what happens is they catch these kids. Now, these are not at the edge kids, okay? These are homecoming kings. These are straight A students. These are sports stars. These are exceptionally fine kids. Kids that you think would be the very last kid that would become a victim of sextortion or do something stupid like send a nude out. But even your very best kids have hormones, and they're playing on video games that have a lot of sexuality in them and a lot of animated sexuality, and they are talking to some hot 14-year-old girl, and they forget that camera works both ways, or they're caught in the middle of the night when they're sleeping with their phones. 70% of kids sleep with their phones. That's from thorn.org, by the way. And they're caught in their most vulnerable moment. Maybe they broke up with their girlfriend. Maybe mom's mad at them. Maybe they're grounded. Maybe they blew the game in a football game. They catch them at the most vulnerable moment. And bam, their life changes forever as they send off that nude pic. And so one of the things that Million Kids does, explain to kids where nude pics go when you hit send and why you never, ever, ever, ever want to do that again. Because as 5 billion people have come online, a portion of them are pedophiles. In fact, that's an interesting conversation to have with your children. If you have 1 million people following you, what percentage of them are pedophiles and pimps? You think you're going to know if you're being catfished, but you will not, because with artificial intelligence, these people can look like anybody. Do you know that 3 years ago, before artificial intelligence ever took off, they discovered a child pornography ring with more than 1 million pedophiles in it, okay? And it had over 25 million nude photos of kids that had been seduced to send them in. In fact, the most recent study says that literally 6 out of 100 of our 6% out of our kids have sent a nude pic online, and 7% of girls, 6% of males and 7% of females have sent a nude pic online. If that nude pic gets in that pornography ring, that child pornography ring, it goes to 1 million people in less than 5 seconds. It goes out there and you can never get it back. Now, here's the hard part. Now that the entire world is connected by internet, places like Nigeria and Philippines and Ivory Coast and Malaysia and Belize and Cambodia and Myanmar, they are placing their kids online and pretending to be young people to our kids so they can get that nude pic. It is all about blackmailing your child for money. And once that pic goes out to one of those groups that is doing the blackmailing, your child begins to panic. One child got over 1,000 texts in a 24-hour period demanding $5,000 or they would destroy them. They show the sender of that picture the list of their the list of their Instagram followers and list of their TikTok followers, and say you're going to be ruined if you don't pay that money. I see kid after kid after kid doing things they'd never do to raise that money and pay it. And one of the things your kid needs to know is there is not enough money on earth to stop these people. My name is Opal Singleton. It's break time. We're going to be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Hello, this is Opal Singleton again from Exploited Crimes and Technology. We're just sharing with you about some of the work of Million Kids and what we do to keep kids safe from predators. You see, here's what I know. I never met a kid who wanted to be violated, but I have met kids and parents who believe it won't happen to me. That my kid's too smart, they won't do it, or the kid will say, I know when I'm going to be catfish, Mom. You will not in a world of artificial intelligence, and not in a world where artificial intelligence are being used by Nigerian scam artists to blackmail our kids. These people are absolutely ruthless. This must stop, and here is why Million Kids is doing what we're doing. What I know is if you go out and you tell the story to the kids and to the parents about where those nude pics go and what's going to happen the minute you send it, they start to stop and decide that this isn't funny anymore. You see, the reason this is so important is we're moving into artificial intelligence that not only will make our world better, but it will make our world worse, because along with artificial intelligence comes deep fakes, and it is happening right now. In fact, over at Beverly Hills High School, fifth graders discovered nudify sites. Now, I get that that's funny, okay? But when I discovered nudify sites, I started to see how many there are. Do you know there's more than 60? 60 nudify sites, so that anybody, anywhere in the world can take your photo, my photo, and change it so that it's the head of the person and the body of somebody else, or the body engaged in a sexual activity. And so blackmail will become the way of life as the entire world is connected by internet. Most websites now have geolocation software, so they already know everything about your child. And in fact, the last case I looked at, the kid said, I had to send the money, Mom. He had my photo. He has a picture of you. He has a picture of my bedroom, and he has a picture of our house. What we need to do is tell our kids, bring them up to date so they understand. And by the way, bring the parent up to date so they understand the world you live in and why you never again should ever send a nude pic. And if you do, you need to tell somebody so you can get some backup assistance, and don't do anything stupid like trying to fix it yourself or take your own life. Don't do that. Create agreements within families that every app that child has, you will have. That they will never post anything knowingly that will embarrass you. Number 3 is that they'll never go out and meet up with someone they've met online. And number 4, if they become a victim, whether they've sent it or not, if they become a victim, they will trust you enough to come to you. Because where we're headed with artificial intelligence is every child and every adult is potential to be a victim as they get into these nudify sites, these artificial intelligence sites, and even your grandparents and your parents, if they're on those romance sites or those timeshare sites, they will all become victim of some type of exploitation. So this is the work of Million Kids, and this is why I had the radio show, is to explain all this to you, to reach the most audience that I can possibly reach, so you will tell your kids, your grandkids, and make it an effort so that you guys don't get exploited, so we don't get exploited, so that nobody from here on out puts anything online that can be easy to exploit, but more important, that you build a relationship with your entire family, that if they're thinking they're being exploited, they will come to you and you will know how to handle it. Now, let me tell you how to handle it. If your child is being exploited, number 1, do not go on and alert the pedophile. Or if your older person is arguing with a timeshare company that wants $5,000, don't go on and say, I know you're a scam, I know you're a pedophile. Don't do that. Sit down with your child and find out the evidence and screenshot the evidence, even if it includes nude images. I know that's painful. I get it. But take those images because that is evidence, and do not show any kind of nudity, even if it's real or artificial, to anybody else. That is that person's dignity. And then everybody goes to the police department, asks for cyber crimes, and report them so that the cyber crimes unit can stand in for your child. Here in Riverside and San Bernardino County, we have tremendous child exploitation teams that know how to do this, that deal with combating child pornography and this sextortion all the time. So don't delete, take a photograph, don't share it with everybody, go to the police and report it. Then everybody gets counseling, because photos that are so personal, that are out there to millions of people, especially your friends, your family, and your schoolmates, are extremely embarrassing. And we need to be able to help kids walk through it, because it will change their life for the rest of their life. Get them counseling. Mom and dad, you get counseling. And if there are younger kids in that family, they need counseling too, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. When you're playing video games, other people watch and they know how this works. Well, folks, my name is Opal Singleton. The organization is called millionkids.org. We've been in business 14 years. We plan to be in business another 10 years, and we need your support, whether it's to help the foster kids, whether it's to train the parents or the grandparents. However it is done, we need your support. If you're willing to support the work of Million Kids, please go to MILLION, millionkids.org. We are a public benefit 501c3 nonprofit organization right here in Riverside. We have a gold star, Guide Star rating. We have been responsible and for all the people that donate for many, many years. We just simply want to change the world. It's that simple, But the world is now globally connected, and we can do that. And we can educate kids. One of the things we do is make these videos that are 1 minute on TikTok, and it shows a guy talking to a girl, and suddenly she wants a nude pic, or she sends one, and we send it right there, big sign, stop, think, it's not too late. Don't do this. This will change your life. And it is so effective. But we need your support to continue to expand that capability so that we can stop this. We live at the most important time in all of history. God has called you to be a leader. God has called me to be a leader. Every one of us. We don't need an organization to do that. We simply need to be able to look at this generation of young people and help them be leaders. This is the first generation in all of history that has artificial intelligence, global connection, money transfer, geolocation software, and we need to get this right. How we educate this generation will set the stage for all future generations. I believe it is the most important calling of all time for you to be a parent and a grandparent that is educated about this and that will take this on and have those important dialogues with your children. If you need resources, simply go to millionkids.org. Sign up for our newsletter. Educate yourself. You can contact me at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org, and you can support us with your prayers. Dear Lord knows we need your prayers, okay? And support us with your finances. It's greatly needed, and we greatly appreciate it. So go to millionkids.org. It's that simple. Folks, I can't tell you how much you mean to me. This has been a hell of a journey. It really is. I remember the first time I walked into this station here. And AM 590 are just incredible folks. Barbie Anderson and Dan Gilchrist, our producer, and the people that put this thing together. It is not easy to have a radio show, but I am so blessed to be part of their lives and have them be part of my life. It is life-changing, truly. And you are blessed to have a resource that you can trust, that puts out the truth, that is careful careful who they put on the air, and that wants to tell the truth and wants to make life better for everyone. So I hope this week you will use this information that you've gotten. If you want to contact me, write to Opal, OPAL, at Me and Kids. But I hope you'll use this time to have those important dialogue with your parents, with your grandparents, with the kids. You know, technology is not good or bad. It's like a car. You take it off to university and you get a degree. Or you take it off to a strip club and you get yourself in trouble, okay? It is not the technology. It is how we prepare the driver of that car. And it is how we prepare young people to live in a world without borders and a home without walls so they can teach their children to use technology with respect and responsibility. Thank you so much for all of you that listen to this. I hope you'll put your arms around your family and let them know how much you love them and how much they mean to you and how proud you are in them.